And I want to briefly explain you the rock, paper, scissors assignment. So the assignment is here. You're going to find it in the attached PDF document. But let's quickly first go through the things that are important here in the lecture that will come up. So this assignment is about hash functions. We need to first talk about what a hash function is. A hash function is a big number that is calculated from any piece of data. So any piece length of data any piece of data of any length is converted into a number. The data can either be binary data or it can simply be text. And there are a number of different hash functions. They tend to have names. So for example, MD5, SHA-1, SHA-256, SHA-512. They have different algorithms, they have different length, and actually some of them don't really work anymore. So the one that we're using, MD5, it's very fast and it is practical for us, but in practice it should actually never be used anymore because it is actually broken. So at the moment also SHA-1 shouldn't be used, so you should use at least SHA-256. So the important thing about hash function is what is called pre-image resistance and second pre-image resistance. So pre-image resistance means you can't reverse it. So when you have a hash, the only way of finding out what produced this hash is literally going through every single possible document. And obviously, as soon as the number of documents gets big, this is impossible. The more interesting thing is actually the second pre-image resistance, which is you cannot construct a document that leads to a certain hash. So you can't just say forge a signature and then change some things and say, oh, well, that's a document that was in there. So with these things, you just know if two documents have the same hash or two pieces of data have the same hash, they must be the same piece of data. It is like very, very unlikely that they're different, and it's like so unlikely that it's really impossible for all intents and purposes. So let's briefly look into how we can actually calculate hashes. The one way to do this, there is a calculator on the internet, agwifi.org. So have a brief look at this one. So here we type what we want to calculate, and it calculates all kind of hashes. So the MD5 we have on top, but we also have here the SHA-1, the SHA-256, because I've actually chosen them here. An alternative, and I would recommend this for this course, just because you can then also keep track of the hashes that you've calculated, is using the spreadsheet that I've provided. Now, Google Sheets by default does not calculate MD5, but I added some code that allows it to do that. So let's have a look at this. If you look at this Google Sheet, again, you just type it in here, and again, it calculates the hash. So what are the assignment? The assignment is you play rock, paper, scissors. You all know the game, and you all know that normally, well, you can always win when you know what the other side does, which means normally it's played synchronously, meaning that both people need to show what they chose at the same time. Otherwise, the other person wins, and this is why robots always win this particular game. However, there's a really interesting process that you can do with hashes, which is essentially the commit reveal process. And I'm going to show you how you can use this to play rock, paper, scissors on an asynchronous channel. So the way it works, well, first the selection. So you in your head, you select, well, I want to do rock. And then you calculate the hash of rock, which is MD5, AFEB7, etc., etc. The other player is not involved. Now is the important part. There is a commit. So you don't say rock, but you say, I chose something that has an MD5 of AFEB7. And the other player says, all right, I heard this. It's an MD5 of AFEB7. Then a lot of things are happening. And then you reveal, oh, by the way, what I told you before was rock. So the other side says, okay, you said it's rock. So let's calculate rock. Oh, it's MD5 AFEB7. Okay. Let's check. I have my notes. What did you commit? MD5 AFEB7. Correct. You indeed chose rock. So putting these things together, obviously, if you put the commit revealed directly after each other from one player, it doesn't make a lot of sense. So what you do is first everyone commits. So player one, my hash is blah, blah, blah. Player two, my hash is blah, blah, blah. Everything is noted down. Then everyone has committed, and then there is a reveal. I chose rock, I chose paper. Now with a reveal, you can then check that people haven't cheated. So it doesn't matter in which order the reveal happens, because otherwise, if you hadn't committed, the order of the reveal would matter, because the second person would always win because they could change their choice. And then you just analyze who wins. So what to do? Well, go play rock, paper, scissors on Slack. And then at the end, produce a single paragraph, smaller 150 words, describing what you have done and what you have learned. And don't overthink this. Let's go.